Well, cheers. It is the Frank and Friends show. Hi there, I'm Frank Murphy.
I'm Becca James, the girl with two first names.
Chug, chug, chug. That was a good idea. We always have to take a sip right before we start anyway, so.
Yeah.
And we can plug our merch that way, which is
yes.
the frankandfriendsshow.com/store. You can get the mugs, you can get the bucket hat.
The beach towel, because 'tis the season.
I think there's a sale. I forgot to look up
I was
the
about to
dates.
say, is your sale still going on?
Well, it's the company that makes the merch is having a company-wide sale. So any podcast that uses that merch, you can get the discount with the code that I had put.
So you don't really have a choice. You're just being told that you're putting your merchandise on sale.
Well, you don't have to promote it. I chose to make a little bucket hat video. Yeah. So anyway, look, I'll put it in the comments if you want to save 20% on merch. There's a code something like that.
The beach towels are really soft.
Yes, beautiful. Well, anyway, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching us on the YouTubes and subscribing. I was so excited because I had Natalie and Lily from the show Matilda come in. They were just adorable, and they said, "We'll get you more subscribers," and the count goes up by 2, and then they went.
That's still 2 more.
No, then they went away the next week, and we're back down to where we were.
No, subscribe and stay subscribed. Don't unlike.
Yeah, then someone realized, not every episode is about Lily Elkins. No, it's not. Just the one episode, Grandma.
Well, at least it was, for that brief time.
That brief shining moment. And of course, you can listen on the podcast apps as well. Mm-hmm. So, Becca James, I always love it when you stop by. My friend Bean, who listens regularly to the podcast, he asked what I was doing and sent a picture because comedian Brad Williams had visited him in New Orleans at his house. So he sends me a picture of himself with comedian Brad Williams.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite up to that A-list level.
I know. But I sent him a picture of us. Because it was the same night that we were hosting the Karns Fairest of the Fair Pageant.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And he wrote back, "Oh, is that the girl with 2 first names?"
Aw. Thanks, Bean.
So I thought, wow, the man does pay attention.
Some do.
Yeah.
Not all.
Yeah. So we were back at it again this year, and apparently as we were leaving, they asked you if we would do the Christmas parade.
Yeah, the Christmas parade, as long as you would want me to continue. And I basically made a comment that nobody should get in my way. It's a little more colorful than that, but you don't have a choice at this point, Frank. I'm in. Period.
Right. I mean, it's like when you are asked to do any one of these number of things, whether it's dancing in the Nutcracker, whether it's emceeing the Friends of Literacy or the Karns Fairest of the Fair. Once you're in, they want to lock you in. I mean, you have to have a pretty good excuse to get out of it, or you have to be so bad that they're like, "Oh, thank you for your time." But for the most part, when you're in our line of work, they want to. Yeah,
it's once you say yes, it's an ongoing commitment for a lifetime.
But
But I don't mind it.
Right, exactly.
So
we would have said no a long time ago if we didn't enjoy it. And it makes it, as I've mentioned multiple times, doing the beauty pageant with 2 people is. It's mind-blowing.
I can't imagine you having done that by yourself because it would be really awkward.
Yeah,
just by yourself.
Because there's so much to it. There's so many contestants and so much reading and you have to give them directions while they're on stage. And there's people telling you from the side, we forgot to ask you to do this, or you have to do that.
Yeah. Or you've got to make, I was making eye contact with the judges and they were like, have them turn around. And but they were saying it with their eyes. They weren't actually
Which helped, because I'm reading that, little, whatever her name is, loves playing with her kitty and cat and...
Yeah, you're reading all the different character traits about him.
She has a lizard pet for a pet, or whatever it is they've written down in their
info
bio.
sheets.
And you're mentally transposing it from their 5-year-old first person to third person, because
and that is always a challenge. When you have to change, you're reading something, but you have to change the tense of the language.
And that's why having to be able to bounce back and forth. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So thank you. That's why we're locked into it.
And congratulations to all of the winners.
I remember the, I just forgot, Claybo was the winner. I saw her on Facebook, the Fairest of the Fair.
Now that you've said that, I've completely
And McNew.
blanked.
So the winners are Claybo and McNew.
Sounds like a morning show, Frank.
It does.
Either that or law offices.
It was Bailey McNew and Madison Claybo.
Yes.
Sound good?
That sounds right.
Bailey was the junior fairest of the fair. Madison was the fairest of the fair, so they'll advance.
Yeah.
Go on to Tennessee.
And they'll
Fair.
be at the actual Karns Fair, which is happening this Saturday at Karns High School. If you want to stop by and meet them, I'm sure they'll do photo ops.
It's on the Ides of July.
The Ides of July, is that a thing?
Well, sure, there's an Ides of March.
I mean, but...
Ides means the middle half. So that's how they identified March 15th as being, that's the Ides of March. That's how they knew it. So therefore, July 15th would have to be the Ides of July.
But there's a general foreboding when you talk about
just because of Shakespeare. March. I mean, if Shakespeare had written a play about July, which was named
But he did not.
But guess what? Who July was named after? Julius Caesar.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, well, I could put this on Scholars Bowl. I probably already have put it on
notes,
Scholars
kids.
Bowl. You see.
Because you were around back then?
Yeah, in 33 BC. I was the first host of Scholars Bowl back in 33 BC.
I almost spit out my water.
Well, here's why. Because what they did is the year only used to be 10 months.
Okay.
And it ended in December, decem, the 10th month.
Okay.
Like decimal, 10.
Okay.
So why is the month whose name is 10 actually the 12th month?
You're the one giving the history lesson.
Aha. Because they inserted 2 months for the Caesar boys, Julius and Augustus. So Julius Caesar got July, Augustus Caesar gets August. So September, which is the 7th month, becomes the 9th month. October, which is the 8th month, becomes the 10th month. November, which is the 9th month, becomes the 11th month. December, the 10th month, becomes the 12th month. And they didn't think, and they were Latin. We're talking.
Yeah. Now that you say that, Frank, it's so obvious, and this will now forever live in my brain as, like, did you know? And I will pull out this party fact for the rest of my life.
Show them this video and get them to subscribe.
Yeah, you'll learn something.
For this exciting calendar information. Well, you're going to the fair with the kids?
Oh, absolutely. My boys love the fair because they've got all these like fun games that they can play, and the snow cone truck.
And Julie, the head of the fair, was trying to get you to bring your husband's zucchini and donate it to the fair.
Yeah, so you can bring I forget which organization it is, but you can donate if you have a garden that is just spilling over with vegetables that will go bad if you don't get rid of them. You can bring them to the fair and donate them, and then they'll sell them, and the money goes back to one of the Karns
In this case,
teams.
I think this one supports. Oh, that's true. That's true because the band is selling food. And some of the sports teams are selling food, but also there's another one where they're actually just generating money for this to keep the fair running. They need to raise money to actually do the fair. Yeah. So that's all good.
Yeah, and there's always all kinds of fun stuff. And like I said, my kids absolutely love it, and it's a good afternoon, and it's not super expensive. You know, you just pay for like the tickets to play the games. And
well, your husband was making zucchini bread at the night of the pageant.
Yes, and it's delicious.
Oh, good. It turned out all right?
Oh,
because
probably one of his best batches, to be honest.
Because you bought the extra vanilla.
Yeah, so after we host the Fairest of the Fair Pageant.
Tuxedo, ball gown.
He brought clothes to change into afterwards. I brought a change of shoes, and that was it. Because, heels are not fun. So I get a text from my husband sometime during the show saying, you need to go to Walmart and get vanilla on your way home. Because he was in the middle of...
There ain't no vanilla like Walmart vanilla.
Well, he was in the middle of making zucchini bread, and he had run out. And so I'm just like, fantastic. So I text him back. I'm like, so I have to go to Walmart in a ball gown.
Yep.
And his response, well, at least you'll class up the People of Walmart page.
Because there's so many pictures of people wearing ill-fitting pajamas on that website.
But there's nobody there taking photos of you when you look nice.
Well,
that goes against the grain of the page.
Technically I had free time. I could have followed you to the Walmart, and I didn't think of it. I instead drove the other direction and returned my tuxedo into the drop box.
Yes.
So that I would have it. There would be no late fee. I don't want the Karns Fair to have to pay a late fee.
There were definitely a few eye raises like, what is this person
What is this lady doing?
And I almost thought about taking a selfie in the Walmart, and then I was just like, I'm tired. I want to go home. My husband's got to finish making the bread.
Well, speaking of July and Julius Caesar and all the things, I haven't had an episode since the 4th of July. Yeah. We had, the gang from Matilda, Lily, and Natalie here, and I put that one out on, I think, July 3rd. And they had sold out shows, by the way.
I know.
It was good for them.
So I tried to take my kids to the theater, and I couldn't get tickets.
Oh, wow.
But that's okay.
I guess I should have asked for those comps they offered me, but
It's okay.
I could have given them to you.
It's okay.
Well, I couldn't go. I couldn't go because of our gig at the whatever we were, the Fair.
You've already forgotten.
Exactly. I'm on to the next thing. But on 4th of July, we had I'm sure you had a lovely time. Did you do anything with the family or stay home?
It was very relaxing. We just went over to a friend's house, and it was a bunch of small kids running around in a baby pool and a sprinkler, and we just had some food laid out. Like, we didn't do fireworks or anything like that because we have, all the kids except for one were 4 or under. Yeah. So by 6 o'clock, everybody was like, well, time to get home. Got to get the kids into their nightly routine, bath, bed, story time, all of that.
And then you've got all the fireworks going in the neighborhood anyway.
So my kids go to sleep about 7:30, and anytime they've been outside playing in water, they crash pretty hard.
That's good.
Which, it's a great thing. I love it when they do. So they were out before any of the fireworks started.
Yeah.
So my husband and I, we try to, look out at some of them from our backyard, and you could see some. But the most annoying thing was the person who decided that we needed an encore at 2 a.m.
Oh, that's too late.
No, that definitely.
No, you just save that for the next night.
And they did. In fact, they're still doing it, Frank.
There
has not been a night gone by that I have not heard fireworks.
My neighbors shoot fireworks at Memorial Day, Labor Day. This year they did it on President's Day weekend.
But do they continue for like the entire next week?
Well, certainly around 4th of July. Yeah, there's a long, delay. Not delay, but hangover, if you will. It continues, stretches on during July, and I, in that strange way, didn't leave the house for a week. It felt like, because we'll count the days and see how long it was. It felt like it was longer, because normally I would work normally, and hasn't been normal in 3 years. But when I would have events to go to, I loved working on the 4th of July because we'd go downtown to the festival on the 4th.
Yeah.
Channel 10 would say, "Hey, can you drop by during the 4 o'clock and help Beth and Russell, because Russell's going to be doing something silly, and Beth needs just somebody there to bounce off of." Wow, because Beth's kind of the straight man in that equation.
Yes.
And I would be doing silly commentary. Oh, look what Russell's doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked out.
So I loved that, and then we'd stick around and work one of the radio station booths.
Yeah, I'd been out there plenty of times.
Depending on which station I was affiliated with at the time. And because some years it was this one, and some years it was that one.
Yeah, you just change shirts.
Right. In fact, one year I had to change. Literally, I had to do both. Now that you mention it. But anyhow, that was that transition year when you were hired.
Okay.
I was I was working for both stations.
Yeah.
Anyway. That was normal for me to go to the big fireworks downtown, watch the symphony and all of that. Well, my wife left town to go spend time with her family. There's a family wedding. She went to spend time with my daughter and the 2 babies, the 2 younger girls, because the husband and the 3 boys had gone to a family event in New York for fireworks in 4th of July.
Oh, I bet they're great there.
Yeah, well, they go to upstate New York, where it's very rural. It's almost like the Adirondacks.
Not like New York City.
It's almost like the Smokies. It's very rural up there.
Okay.
So, meanwhile, I'm just doing radio shows, and I am researching all this 4th of July stuff to talk about, because I'm working both the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. So I have in my head every local fireworks show I can in the Adirondack region and in the Great Smoky Mountain region. I'm telling people, well, the show in Maryville actually is July 3rd. In Maryville, there's going to be the military band is performing, and then on July 4th, you've got 9:30 in Knoxville, you've got Rocky Top, you've got Speedwell.
Yeah, you just got this whole laundry list of I know all the things.
I had it all memorized. Clinton, Oak Ridge, I had them all, and I got them all on a sheet of paper, a computer page.
Did you make a spreadsheet?
Well, I did a document. I made a document with all the things laid out, of everything I needed to know. And then my wife texts me, and she says, "Hey, what should we do on the 4th of July with Lucy and Gracie?" I'm like, "Well, Google it." She's like, "I know, but she says to me, "But you're better at it and faster at it." And she's giving me the...
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I've just spent hours researching all these 4th of July events in upstate New York and in here in East Tennessee. And
so you were a pro. That makes total sense that you should continue to do it.
And now I'm looking up Northern Virginia in the general vicinity of my daughter's house. It's like, okay, well, here's a little kids parade in Great Falls where if you get there at 8:30 and pull the kids in a wagon, there's a costume contest. Here's the city of Fairfax has its annual parade with the politicians and all the
that could be like a new thing for you. You could just
personalized holiday planning.
Right? Oh, either that or you could just become the person on YouTube that has like here's all the events coming up in your town.
Not a terrible idea. Anyway, so what I ultimately also sent them was George Washington's house, Mount Vernon.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that one cost money.
I'm about to say, I mean, that view is spectacular. If you've ever been there.
No, I have not.
It's beautiful.
There's Larson J., who's on the county commission. Well, his wife is somehow on the board of Mount Vernon. They have like delegates from different states. Huh. So Mount Vernon is not a government facility. It's run by this nonprofit organization, and they have. It's like it started. I mean, probably 200 years ago by the Ladies Auxiliary of whatever. Mm-hmm. So they have women from different states who are on this advisory board. And I happened to see on Facebook that Larson's wife, Adrienne J., she used to work at Channel 6 when I first met her. She is on the Mount Vernon board. So I thought, well, and the pictures are always lovely and it always seems like nice. Yeah. So I told my wife, look, I know it's expensive. I know it's like $50 or something like that to go.
Yeah. A person?
No, for the both of them.
Oh.
It was like $28, maybe $56 for the both of them. And the kids would be free.
Gotcha.
And if you want, you could apply that toward an annual membership. But
of course.
I said, it looks, I don't know, it's just something about it. It just, the videos from last year, it just looked less insane than going across the river to the Washington Monument where there's a million people. Thousands of people. And it just looked more pleasant. So it was apparently pretty busy and pretty crowded, but they went and they had a good time. Yeah. And were
there a lot of activities for the kids?
Well, but Lucy's 3 and Gracie's 1, so they were kind of like just sitting there in the stroller because there's a band playing patriotic music. There's a guy dressed up as George Washington. There's a naturalization ceremony for new citizens.
Oh, cool!
So they had a lovely time. Yeah. So anyway, so thank you to Larson J. for putting that in my head. And not that you did, your wife did, but I'm glad I found it for them. I did all that research and they went off to a nice thing. And meanwhile, Sunday would have been July 2nd, right? And I went to church Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And when I got home at 10 something, I stayed home the rest of Sunday, all day Monday the 3rd, all day Tuesday the 4th, all day Wednesday the 5th.
That's really odd for you.
I know. Finally left the property because I had a chiropractor appointment on Thursday.
Left the property like you're
well, I mean, I can't
not allowed to leave.
I can't say I didn't leave the house because I went outside. I did gardening. I went pool maintenance. I did all the normal things around the house.
But still, 3 days at home by yourself.
Well, all day Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4.5. Really, it was. But if you go from
like out by hours,
by hour to hour, it was 4 full days. I didn't leave the house, and
you were feeling all right.
Yeah, well, I had to go pick up the tuxedo, so I had 2 reasons to get out of the house. I had to go to a chiropractor appointment and pick up the tuxedo.
So you've been going stir crazy, basically.
I just seemed odd for me.
It is odd for you. You're normally doing like
guy who goes
you stack
places.
Too many things on top of each other in a day usually.
Right. Well, speaking of things being stacked on top of one another, I think that was an experiment at the Body Farm, where I was like,
that's a segue.
Well, they definitely did multiple graves at different levels to test the, the volatile fatty acids in the soil. And there was actually a case recently, I think it's in California, where there's a missing person who's been missing for years and years. And they got some scientist who studied at the Body Farm. I didn't know who he was. I didn't recognize him or anything, but doing the soil research, trying to find those chemicals of decomposition to prove that this poor young girl was buried either or not buried here.
Yeah.
And he believed, Anyway, but that's kind of the work they do at the Body Farm. And it's not really an ad for the Body Farm unless you want one of these beautiful t-shirts, because it's an ad for Dr. Bill Bass, who started the Body Farm back in 1971. And, or else he came to 71, really started the Body Farm more in 81. But he was doing the research on the dead people. So you can get the t-shirts, you can get the hats, you can get the books.
I was about to say, do you have the stack of books?
I do have the stack of books.
Of course he does.
Here's some of the Body Farm type stuff. And then I'll also mention these other books in a second.
I have to be careful trying to pick these up with my hand. I still don't have full grip strength yet.
We got fiction and nonfiction. Jefferson Bass are the fictional books where Dr. Brockton investigates things. Okay. And then when it's got their first names on there, it's the nonfiction. This is the first one where it tells you how the body farm got started, and it's got some very famous cases in there. People, deaths by fire. It's got I'm pretty sure the Noble Georgia Crematory is in there.
So if you like true crime, you will probably like this.
Yeah, you hang on to that. And I'll also show you that Sam Venable does work with us, so you've got all these great humor books from the New Sentinel's fantastic Sam Venable, and these are all autographed as well.
Yeah.
Those are autographed too. And now Ron Ledbetter, the former general counsel for UT, has written a memoir, and he's doing speaking engagements. So you can book him by going to bonezones.com, don't forget the S, or Sam, or we work with Bill Landry.
Yep.
Or you can get me to come and do a lecture about cremation. I've got that PowerPoint ready to go.
He'll Google it.
I have been Googling it, but also I've got
You've done it before.
Audio clips of myself with Dr. Bass talking about the Noble Georgia Crematory, and I've embedded those into a PowerPoint. So, because Dr. Bass, he said he's pretty much done with the speaking engagements. I mean, the man's going to be 95 in August. So
yeah, he's kind of like, I've done my time.
He's certainly entitled. So bonezones.com, don't forget the S. Now, that is a perfect segue, actually, into my other 94-year-old friend.
Okay.
Who's very much alive, Marshall Andy.
Who is Marshall Andy?
Marshall Andy Smalls has had an interesting career because he was a big band singer. Oh. He was in advertising. He had his own advertising agency. He wrote a jingle for Waffle House locally. So the East Tennessee Waffle House would advertise with Marshall Andy singing, Waffle House, come on to the Waffle House, or something like that. And a few other advertisers.
Do we have to pay for the copyright that you just sang it?
I don't think it was recognizable. I think I'm in the clear. And plus, Marshall Andy, you would love the attention. Well, he had a TV show for a long time, 30, 40 years on East Tennessee PBS.
Was it a kids show? Or?
Not really. It was a cowboy show.
Oh.
So he would get up, dressed up in his cowboy costume, and it was called Riders of the Silver Screen, and they would show these old cowboy films. I'm pretty sure, like, the ones that had fallen out of copyright or whatever it is, or whatever, they could just show them. They didn't have to. You remember there was a time when It's a Wonderful Life had fallen out of copyright.
Yeah, it's like the licensing had expired and then became public domain.
Right, but then they in that particular case of It's a Wonderful Life, it became so popular that someone paid the money and they bought it back, and now it's only on NBC. But there was a time when any station could run it because it had fallen out, the license had expired. Well, they would find all these great old cowboy movies, sometimes with Tom Mix and Gene Autry, and sometimes with...
Oh, I know that name.
And a lot of times with smaller names. And he would show them on Saturday mornings, and his guys would come over, and he had a little band, and they would sing an old-timey cowboy song, and then show one of these movies. And they also had the shorts. It was like going to the movies on Saturday morning when he was a kid.
So he kind of like introed the movie in a theme. Oh, that's fun.
And they had a little cowboy set. Well, he's 94. He finally said he's done.
Just now?
This was, I can look on the calendar, but I believe it was June something. It was just the other day.
Wow,
it was
he just retired.
Very recent. The episodes that he recorded for his final day at work have not even aired yet. They'll be on in September.
Oh, wow.
So they had a big studio audience and a cake, and I heard there was going to be cake. So I went.
Because of the cake?
Pretty much. But also, I have known Marshall Andy. He had a radio show where he played some cowboy music, but a lot of big band music, a lot of Eddie Arnold music. And it was on an AM station that was in our building. Now, I don't know if this happened, this would have been before you and I worked at the same cluster.
Yes,
but we had
definitely before my time.
We had an AM station. We had 3 FMs and an AM. And then when they bought the 4th FM, they got rid of
the AM.
The AM.
Okay.
And because of the studio space. But anyway.
Okay.
Most of the time, they just played big band music on automation. But there were these political guys who came in. Lloyd Daughtry was his name. He would come in and do a fiery political talk show once in a while. And then Marshall Andy would come in about once a month and record a month's worth of radio shows.
A month's worth at one time?
Well, he had a guy help him. So he would
That's still a lot.
And maybe it was every 2 weeks, but he would come in and record the opens and closes and then some guy would edit it all together with the songs. It was like Casey Kasem.
Okay.
You know, and so he didn't have to sit there. But I mean,
was it very I'm just thinking about like.
Marshall Andy,
like the content that you need and for it to be fresh and new, it's like you really can't look very far ahead.
It was neither fresh nor new. It was Marshall Andy reminiscing about his friend Eddie Arnold and telling these old-timey stories. Well, here's a song that and the story behind this song, and let me tell you, So off the top of his head, he was able to just, I'm sure he had notes, but he would be able to reminisce about all this stuff.
Okay.
So I go to the event at the East Tennessee PBS. I get my picture made with Marshall Andy. I'm in the they pull me over into the staff photo with everyone from PBS. Aww. And there's a crowd there. It's nice. And, you know, they're really trying to run behind because everyone wants to go up and greet Andy.
Yeah, naturally.
Well, one of the guys I know who works at the station says, look, we got the extra merchandise, the Marshall Andy merch, which is now where, you know.
Yeah.
He says, I got an extra apron. He says, you should take it. They're good aprons. He says, I use mine when I'm at home, when I do barbecuing and cooking. So here, take an extra Marshall Andy apron. And I'm like, well, I don't know if you can see all the aprons. I like aprons. They're hanging over there on the thing. I'll wear them when I eat.
I was like, do you actually wear them?
When I eat and when I cook, because I got to keep my...
I mean, I can't really do a full count, but it looks like there's 5 or 6 over there.
Oh, there's probably 10. But I just thought, well, I could use a new apron. So I get the apron. It's a Marshall Andy apron. It's got his picture on here. And meanwhile, the head of the station, Vicky, she's there, excuse me. Ooh. She also gets an apron. Because they were, like I said, there's extra, and we both worked there, and the guy's trying to schmooze us.
Yeah.
So he gives us the Marshall Andy aprons, which it's got everything on there. It's got his beautiful picture. And Vicky says, oh, let's go get Marshall to sign our aprons.
Oh, but so now you can't wear it.
Right. I fully intended on wearing it and getting it dirty and washing it, but it says on here, to Frank, my thanks, Marshall Andy, June 2023.
Oh. And a picture of him on a horse.
Yeah. And
that's
it's the
cool.
Riders of the Silver Screen. So I got old Marshall on there. So that's, anyway, I love Marshall Andy. He's a good guy.
That's cool.
So that's, but now I can't.
And when will you be next on PBS?
Well, I mean, I'm on every day.
Well, you know, I'm trying to let you plug
all my shows. Yes, Scholars Bowl.
Hint.
Scholars
Wink.
Bowl is on Monday through Friday at 5:30, and 3 months from now we will begin taping the 2024 season. So I'm already thinking about that, and I've been editing questions. You saw me.
Yeah, you showed me some of the questions.
I figured out. I got to show you the one that you helped me with.
Oh, okay.
I think I got it.
Here's a hint. It's about pop culture and music and stuff. So that's why I actually.
Well, the one also you helped me with the one.
Qualified to participate in one question.
There was the one about the mound of clothing in the Atacama Desert in Chile.
Yeah, that was really interesting, and that's also really sad. Like they should be sending it somewhere they can repurpose the clothing.
Well, that's
upcycle
what is eventually happening. So we've got this unsold fast fashion that they send it to South America. They send it to Chile. Yeah. This one port because there's no surtax to import it there. And if it doesn't sell there, that's the last stop. They've already tried it. And it's stuff that's, I don't know what fast fashion exactly means, except that it's a knockoff of designer clothes.
Yes, and it's also generally really thin, very cheap. So you're really not going to get many wears out of it anyway.
And it's got plastics and other materials that aren't.
Yeah, like it's polyester type stuff. It's not high quality.
So I put this thing. They said, there's a pile of what kind of merchandise in the Atacama Desert that is visible from space. And it was too vague of a question. Yeah. I researched it a little more and found some people went and looked at this pile of clothing. And some of it was from TJ Maxx. And I thought, well, I'm not going to throw them under the bus. But some of them
no, you just did.
Was from a retailer called Shein.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge fast fashion on social.
Right. So I put that in the question. I said, what kind of merchandise, including stuff from the retailer Shein? Mm-hmm. So now they'll say clothing.
Yeah.
Ta-da! So thank you for your help with that.
You're welcome. I didn't even know I'd helped you with that one.
You did.
I thought you were talking about the music-related one.
Oh, what was that one?
It had to do with Dua Lipa.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that was the answer. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, there's so what, kids? There's a Dua Lipa question. If you can't figure it out.
I mean, it's really not that difficult, but also I was very plugged into pop music for a long time.
Yeah,
so.
of course you are. Well, we've had, in fact, this morning, they're not here, obviously, because Charlie and Lucy are visiting this week.
Yeah.
And when you said you could come over, my wife says, oh, I'll take the kids to breakfast. I'm like, so they've been gone for an hour now.
I was about to say, what time do they wake up?
Well, today they slept late.
So, 6:30 is late if my kids are sleeping late.
No, yeah, we had to wake them up after 7 and get them out of bed because I think we wear them out in the pool to such a degree.
Oh, yeah. Anytime kids are in the pool in the sun, they tend to sleep really well.
And we had, last night it was, we did breakfast for dinner. So it was scrambled eggs and bacon. And it's funny because my daughter sent us meat. I think I mentioned this on a previous episode. It was a box of meat for Father's Day. So I had this uncured bacon. And I don't know if that's good or bad. But then,
I don't either.
So after dinner last night, I'm working on a Scholars Bowl question. And it's about
bacon.
It's about feral hogs and feral pigs. And it says there's a big problem with these feral pigs.
Yeah.
Apparently, and of course I always have to research it more because I read the question. I'm like,
see, you do that to yourself, Frank. You really do.
Well, the simple question, I didn't understand it. So I said, how are they killing these pigs with the bacon preservative? I don't understand. I thought it was funny. They're using a preservative in bacon to kill these wild pigs.
Oh, wait, they really are?
How is this possible?
Oh.
So, yes.
I was like, you have hunters out there with guns. That's how you get them.
Well, apparently there's so many of them that what they do is they've taken sodium nitrite, not nitrate, because apparently the nitrite degrades into the nitrate, which doesn't harm the pigs. But if you can get them to eat the sodium nitrite, they will go into this kind of drunken stupor, it's like carbon monoxide poisoning.
Okay.
And they fall asleep and die. So this is considered to be more humane than shooting them in the head.
So they get to get drunk and then die?
Yeah, or they get woozy and then die. But apparently they're doing this in Australia and in the US. So I've researched all this. And the sodium nitrite is the preservative they use for curing bacon. So I guess I feel good about eating some uncured bacon now. I didn't have to eat the sodium nitrite.
Okay, I still want to Google what the difference between cured and uncured means.
Well, it's preservatives. I mean, I always thought it was salt. I always thought they would just use salt to cure the meat and make it last longer.
Well, yeah, because that's what they used to do.
And sodium, salt, nitrite. Instead of sodium chloride, it's sodium nitrite.
I've learned so much from you today, Frank.
I meant to. Well, could you grab my phone for a sec? I left it out of reach. I don't know if you can get it.
Yeah.
And I apologize for making you do it. But at the end of dinner, Charlie, who's 5 and is brilliant, he says to me, Grandpa, didn't you want to have one extra piece of fruit at the end of dinner? You know, the one that we picked earlier today? And I'm like, what? What? I had, it slipped my mind because we had the bacon and the eggs, and then you have, we bring out the strawberries, the blueberries, the blackberries, all the fruit that I bought.
Which is dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're having all that. And Charlie says, Grandpa, didn't you forget a piece of fruit? And there was one fig. We had one fig, the early crop of figs. And this is on one of the exotic new plants that I bought last year. It's I think it's either a Violet de Bordeaux or a Negrone. And it has the Briba fig is when it grows early, ahead of time.
Okay.
And I've been keeping an eye on it, trying to keep the rabbits from eating it. And I show it to the kids yesterday. I'm like, hey kids, let's burn off some more calories and exercise and make you tired. Let's walk around and march around and count all my fig trees. Because it's like 45, 50, I don't know. They got ridiculous. There's so many. It's gotten a little out of hand.
You got an orchard back there, I know.
Yeah, there's easily 30 plus. I know that for sure, but when Charlie counted them, I think we got to 40.
Yeah.
So I made a video of them picking the fig.
Oh.
But also we made a video of them cutting the fig. So what I can do is insert those.
All right, let's try to find that one ripe fig.
Here, I can end that.
Where it is.
So here we go. So this is the fig plant where we are searching for. See how small it is, though. It died back with the freeze.
Yeah.
So we just got to get in there, and Charlie knows where to look. So we dig in there.
Oh wow! I'm surprised that it can bear fruit when the tree is that small.
Well, it's a more mature tree. It's the root system is grown. So there you go. And then we also have a video where I decided to slice it up and everyone could get a taste of it.
Oh.
And the whole reason I remembered it is I'm wearing the Food Network apron.
Yes, your many aprons.
Yeah, which is why I did that. So I know my friend Bean will say, hey, you should have put this in your spin-off podcast, Frankenfigs. So consider this to be a pilot episode. See if anyone likes it.
There you go.
All right. So beautiful. So we cut that into 4 pieces and everyone got a taste. But it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Did it taste good?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't taste as sweet as when they are, the main crop, they call it.
Okay.
But that one is red on the inside. They call it like a berry fig. There's other ones that are...
Yeah, it looked like it had more seeds than a regular fig.
Well, you don't always look...
Or maybe there's just not as much flesh around them.
Yeah. Okay. They might plump up. And it also depends what kind you get.
Yeah.
But there's some that are called honey figs because they're more yellow and honey-like on the inside. So there's different kinds. But I'm into the dark, the really super sweet.
You are a fig connoisseur.
Oh, I love them. All right. Well, I got to let you go, even though we still have more things to on the list. So I hope you'll come back.
Another time.
Oh, thank you so much. Your lipstick looks good. And I will mention how mad I am quickly that my makeup company, whoever it is I buy this makeup from, look what they've done. They've added these little rings under my makeup.
You just must have been buying a brand that hasn't had that, because mine's had that for forever.
Oh, I didn't used to.
So I have a blush, it's Clinique, I'll call them out, that they've got like this grid pattern on the bottom, and I am so frugal that I will make sure I get every little nook and cranny before I move on.
When I get to this point, though, it starts to crack and break, and you end up
you
losing half of it in the sink. So I'm trying to be super cheap with this one, but I've already bought 3 more packages for Scholar's Bowl. And,
well, yeah, because you know you're going to need it at some point, but you still don't want to waste anything.
And my other PBS show, Up Close with Frank Murphy. This month's guest, Laura Beth Wells.
Thank you, Frank.
Which is on, I don't even know when it's on. Like the last Tuesday of the month.
You can put it in the comments.
Yeah, thanks so much. If you do love audio entertainment, please do go to audibletrial.com/FrankandFriendsShow. You can drive around like Becca and listen to audiobooks. Mm-hmm. And it's like saving time. It's like you're reading while you're not reading.
Yes.
In fact, if you really were smart, you could probably read a book and listen to a book.
I've actually started, not that I've gone to the gym often, but I have an audiobook that I'm listening to right now that I will only listen to when I'm on a treadmill or bike or something like that. So that's my motivation to try to get into the gym, is I can only find out what happens next if I'm at the gym listening.
Well, Bean, you could listen to, he probably listens, he's the most podcast-friendly person I know, but audiobooks and podcasts and custom audio entertainment. But he was talking about getting a Stairmaster to get a little more exercise, and he's thinking about putting it in the elevator of his home, which makes a lot of sense to me, because that way when you go upstairs, you can get the exercise on the Stairmaster. So, his house has an elevator. So Audible Trial.
It's also just the irony of stairs in an elevator.
Sure,
Stairmaster.
Well,
anyways.
I mean, if he's not going to use the real stairs, he may as well, get the effect of using them.
I find it works better in front of the TV, because then you can just be like a little gerbil on a wheel.
Yes.
Or on the stairs in your case.
Yeah. Well, my exercise plan is gardening, and it's been working. Yeah. I've been out there. Even though I hate the idea of it, the results of it are starting to make it worth my while.
Yeah.
audibletrial.com/FrankandFriendsShow. The merch is good. We got the towels, we got the cups, we got the bucket hats, and I think the merch sale is still on for a few more days.
Yeah, like the end of the week,
so
I think.
Check that in the comments. Yeah, I think it runs to the 15th or the 18th or something like that.
You didn't take a drink after we cheers.
Shoot.
Come on now.
We do appreciate your watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing on YouTube as we inch forward. There's a new thing on YouTube. We only need 500 subscribers. I just got notified by that.
Oh.
But I need another 700 hours of view time. So please watch this episode over and over again, because that would also apparently help me.
Just have it running on the background, maybe while you're on the treadmill.
Boom. That apparently would help me too if you watched it twice. And why wouldn't you? She's got 2 first names. You can watch the show twice. It is the Frank and Friends Show. I'm Frank Murphy.
I'm Becca James.
And we'll talk to you again next time.